Welcome to the Claim Your Day podcast. Here, it's all about taking full advantage of the time we have today and becoming intentional with our actions so we each can have the impact we want. If you want to stop drifting through life and start directing your life, and you're open to a short podcast from someone who's working at the exact same thing, then welcome. You're in the right place, my friend. Hi, I'm your host, Nick Mazey. To respect your time and so you can claim your day, let's dive right in. Hi, my friend. Welcome to episode 40, Claim Your Day podcast. Glad you're here. Glad you're joining in. Glad you are claiming your day and making the most of it. You're stopping the drifting through life and you're becoming intentional with what you do and how you live out your core values so that you can fulfill your purpose in life. That, my friend, is what it's all about. At least that's what I believe. So I want to ask you a quick question. Do you ever get caught in this cycle of what's next or what's missing, or looking at somebody else and saying, I wish I had that, or things are going to be better once I achieve blank? Do you ever get caught in that? Well, if so, you're not alone. But I want to follow that up with a question about what if the key to truly enjoying the journey is right here, right now, and appreciating what you have right here, right now. Well, that's what we're going to talk about a little bit into today's episode. It's going to be a tough one. It is, because it's a significant paradox of appreciating what we have while we're always striving for improvement. This is tough. I want you to think about Sarah for a second. See, Sarah, she's a busy parent. It constantly feels like she's not doing enough. Until one day she had enough. She had enough of feeling like she wasn't doing enough. And so she started becoming intentional and developed a gratitude practice. An actual gratitude practice, like practicing it. It transformed her daily life, because it transformed her outlook, even as she continued to pursue those big goals for her best life. Look, it's hard sometimes to celebrate your wins, or really to appreciate your current blessings. It's really hard to do that while you're very focused on that future improvement and where you're trying to go. It is tough. It is challenging. But my friend, it is worth it. See, cultivating gratitude allows you to appreciate your present, while at the same time it can fuel your actions to be intentional towards your values and your purpose. So it actually makes it more enjoyable to live your life, and more enjoyable and likely for you to pursue your potential and your full fulfillment in life. It's weird. It's a paradox. And that's what we're going to talk about in our first point for this episode. And it's this paradox. We'll call it a paradox of pursuit. It's challenging to constantly strive for improvement and be appreciative and grateful for what we have. Because as we're striving for improvement, what happens a lot of the times is we look down the road toward what we want to be, what we want to achieve, the skills we want to develop, the achievements and all that stuff. We look toward down the road for that ideal that we're striving for. But what can happen when we look at that gap from where we're at to where we want to be, we inadvertently diminish our present. When we say, hey, how great it's going to be when X, when I achieve that, when I have that job, when I start that business, when I lose that weight, when I accomplish this thing, we see how great it's going to be down the road. And by comparison, where we're at, it seems less. And we see that gap. See, in gratitude and appreciation, it's not about diminishing the goal we're working toward. And it's not about just fluffing up where we're at right now. It's about appreciating, obviously, and being grateful for what we have now while we pursue the better. See, here's a second point. There's power in appreciation. There really is. And when I talked about earlier about cultivating a gratitude practice, see, those were very intentional words. It's something that it doesn't automatically come naturally or easily for a lot of us that are so forward focused. See, one of my Clifton strengths, is futuristic. I'm always looking forward to the future. So for me, it's one of those things I have to be very intentional with practicing gratitude for where I'm at right now, so that I don't only focus on the future and diminish right now. But there's actually power in being appreciative and grateful for what you have right now. And you might, when you practice that, it actually can help drive you toward the improvement that you want, striving for better because you've been blessed with so much. And I know it has different, it is in a different place in life, and there's a lot of significant challenges out there. And when I'm talking about gratitude and appreciation, I'm not just trying to say that everything's perfect. What I'm trying to say is that sometimes it takes effort to identify the things to be grateful for, even when there's a lot that you might want to change or improve. But when you can cultivate that gratitude, it can help develop the mindset of the future that you're aiming for is possible because there are good things going on. When you practice your gratitude, it can help reduce stress. It can help clarify the purpose that you have for your life, and so that you can actually achieve that best life and fulfill your purpose. And by starting with a gratitude practice can help actually make that possible, which leads right into the third point that I have for this episode, and that is practicing gratitude can actually be the catalyst for you becoming more intentional. See, when you appreciate what you have, whether if it's your skills, your support system, it might be relationships, it might be your experience, where you're at in your life, it might be certain resources that you have, it doesn't really matter. When you appreciate what you have, you realize how well equipped you are and even how motivated you can be to intentionally build that future that you want and to live out your values and purpose for your life because what you have. Now, what you have is going to be very different from you to the next person to the next person. It's going to be different. One person, you might have skills. Your neighbor might have a better support system. Instead of being focused on what you don't have, when you practice the gratitude and you use the power of appreciation, then you can really fully see and appreciate what you have to be able to use those resources, whatever they are, so that you can find the ways to be intentional and to build that foundation for that life you want to create. See, if we allow ourselves to get into this scarcity mindset where we think we don't have enough, then you end up not even seeing the things you do have. And then it's harder to be intentional with your actions when you don't see the possibilities and that potential you have in your current situation. Instead, when you force yourself, if necessary, to cultivate gratitude, then you truly can see the potential and the opportunities and the resources you do have because you've trained your brain to see it and appreciate it. Now you can really go after that best life. See, and this is highly connected to when John Maxwell talks about his law of awareness. And that is becoming aware of where we're at, what we have going for us. And I see that as closely related to cultivating that gratitude because you got to be aware of what's going on around you. You got to be aware of your current situation. And when you are aware of that, when you see, the good things that you currently have and you begin to appreciate that, you can begin to use those to take steps forward to further improve your situation. It's not one or the other. It's not I'm striving for the future that I want and I'm becoming intentional with pursuing my goals. It's not that or I appreciate where I'm at. It's not I appreciate where I'm at so much that I'm going to become complacent and not try to improve. No. It's where you're using both. You cultivate the gratitude. You use the power of appreciation. You use those to allow yourself to become truly intentional with, to the greatest degree possible, using the resources that you have right now, your gifts, your blessings, your experience, your support system, relationship, resources, whatever it is, to fully appreciate that, to value it, and to use that in the best way possible to continue to improve. And oftentimes I like to relate these episodes to different values. We think about some values that really connect with this. When you're practicing gratitude, it directly connects with just the value of joy and contentment and peace. These things, we can appreciate so much good in life, even with life not being perfect, even with there are a lot of not good and bad things going on. When we're grateful and we're appreciative, it doesn't ignore that there are things that need to be fixed and addressed and changed in the world and in our communities. But we still can practice that gratitude to be joyful of the good things. When we practice gratitude, it can help us with our own self-worth, and accepting ourselves, with our faults and our failures and all the other things. We can accept that and find our self-worth by being grateful for the good things we have and who we are. This can help lay that foundation for living an authentic life, which really connects with our values. So here's the action steps. Here's the action steps for this episode. I want you to practice a three good three. You're going to develop a 3 good things practice. And that's at the end of the day, or right before bed. And I like doing this, at bedtime. Is identify 3 specific things you're grateful for. 3 specific things. And it could be small moments throughout the day, personal qualities. Maybe it's external blessings. Maybe it's somebody in your life, something that you were able to do, something that somebody gave you. Just 3 small things. And I want to take a moment and just pause and appreciate it. Acknowledge that good thing. I highly encourage you for at least one of these things to be something about yourself. Something about yourself. It can be really small. But identify those 3 good things and just appreciate it for a moment. And have one of those things be something about you that you just pause and appreciate. I didn't make this episode all about the 4th of July, but it was very intentional that I wanted to incorporate gratitude and appreciation, with an episode that's going to be released right near the 4th of July. I know there's a lot of things going on in the country. I'm not going to get into a whole lot of that stuff. At the same time, we have certain freedoms in the United States that allow me to speak freely in a podcast just like this. And I'm very appreciative of a lot of those freedoms. Yes, I know there's a lot of things that need to change and improve. I'm not get real political in this. But at the same time, I just wanted to say I appreciate you for listening to this episode. I appreciate you for listening to this podcast. It is here for you. And I would really appreciate it if you took action on the things that we talk about here, because that's what it's for. To make the most of our freedoms to positively impact other people. Will you join with me in using what you have to positively impact others as well? Well, thank you for listening. I am appreciative of that. Gratitude is not passive. It is active. Can truly enhance your pursuit of your best life to live out your purpose and fulfillment. It can bring yourself joy, and it can help you with being intentional. You don't choose between appreciating today and striving for tomorrow. Instead, you can do both. You can be grateful for what you have now as you actively pursue improving. That's how you're going to live your best life, my friend. Start with your 3 good things. Start today. And remember to appreciate something good about yourself too. Thank you for listening, my friend. Take care. I can't wait to talk to you again in the next episode.